alumnus from both the East Mesa and Mesa location. Michael graduated in 2012 as a phlebotomist and in 2016 as a registered nurse. Upon graduating nursing school, he won the Light of Way Award where he spoke to his graduating class. Michael is currently a registered nurse at Banner Behavioral Health Hospital in Scottsdale, working as the team lead nurse on the adolescent unit. He also has experience with being a trauma nurse, detox nurse, resource nurse, and house supervisor fill-in. Throughout his time as a nurse, he has been nominated twice for the Daisy Award. The Daisy Award is a recognition program to celebrate and honor nurses by collecting nominations from patients, families, and coworkers. Last year, he won a $200 gift card at his facility after he participated in a contest called Wellness and Nursing Champion Program, where he explained what gratitude meant to him. His favorite TV shows include One Piece, Haikyuu, My Hero Academia, and Black Clover, as they symbolize picking yourself up when you fail, being true to yourself, rising to the top, and never giving up. His favorite quote is, "Perhaps it is good to have a beautiful mind, but an even greater gift is to discover a beautiful heart," from the movie A Beautiful Mind. Michael is here tonight to talk about his journey through and after graduating from Pima Medical Institute. Please join me in welcoming Michael.
Good evening, graduates and families that are here. Coming in today, I saw a lot of happy and bright faces tonight. And tonight in the crowd, I see a lot of family and friends here to support the graduates in the crowd. So, before we start, I wanted to acknowledge the friends and family with us during this special occasion. From the first time you graduates started classes, your family and friends were there for you. They understood when you had to miss out on family events, and they understood those brutal final exams. They've seen you struggle, and now they've seen you succeed. So, this is also their night. Now I want you to cheer as loud as you can for them because they've been your biggest cheerleaders. So, let's give them a round of applause. For those who are still wondering who I am, my name is Michael Milai. I was also a student at Pima Medical Institute. Pima has played a significant role in my life, and without this school, I have no idea where I'd be. The school asked me to be your keynote speaker for tonight, and I'm very grateful to be here, to be able to speak in front of you. So thank you for having me. We all have a story here that brought us here, and I'm here tonight to share my story. A little bit about me. I was raised in East Mesa location, and I have grown up here since 2004. The early experiences that I experienced growing up here at East Mesa helped me teach the value of resilience, hard work, and focusing on what truly matters. Before starting at Pima Medical Institute, I worked at McDonald's, where I was working since I was 15. That's when I started. At the age of 18, I started college classes at Mesa Community College, and that's where I started at the Red Mountain location. During the second semester, things started to go downhill for me. For personal reasons, I became very depressed, and it affected me negatively to where it just started taking an emotional toll on me. I felt like that I was struggling. I couldn't get out of bed. I hadn't eaten for days, and ultimately, I dropped out of college. During this time was the worst I've ever felt. And on August 6th of 2011, I posted on Facebook saying that I am a failure. I was convinced that I would work at McDonald's as the rest of my life as a college dropout. But I do want to clarify that McDonald's isn't a bad job. They may not pay well, but I learned a lot of life lessons, and I made a lot of friends that will always be in my heart. But I wanted to help people for a living. alone, and I felt like that I was going through my internal struggles all by myself. I wanted to make a difference in somebody's life, especially for those who feel like that no one's there for them, just like how I felt. I tried returning to school, but Mesa Community College stated that I couldn't return until I paid $2,000 out of my own pocket just to start the classes that I dropped. And this was a challenge because I had no car, and my shift at McDonald's started at 4 a.m. in the morning, and I wasn't making enough money as I wanted. So I asked my boss to work full-time, and for 1 year, my routine was waking up at 3 a.m. and jogging 3 miles one way to work right before my shift started. And some nights were cold, some nights were a little concerning because I was concerned about my safety, but I had to ensure that I kept my promise. I ended up saving $2,000 that I owed, and I paid back the college, and I started up classes again. In 2012, I applied to Pima Medical Institute for the phlebotomy class. I chose this program so I can move on from McDonald's. And I actually loved the phlebotomy classes, and I enjoyed the teachers. Second week of class, however, I passed out when one of the teachers drew blood on somebody else. Right after graduation, I got a job at Banner Desert as a phlebotomist, and eventually I became one of the top phlebotomists at that hospital. In 2014, I applied to the nursing program at Pima Medical Institute. And I was told that the nursing program would be one of the hardest things that you could ever do, and honestly, it was. My self-doubt and lack of confidence got the better of me because I was devastated when I failed that first semester. I was asked if nursing was the right profession for me, and I responded with, I don't know. All I know is that I want to be there for people at their worst. So even though I had time off, I still studied my notes as I did in school, and during my break, I got close to the program director named Mrs. Capes, and we formed a special bond. One day in class, we were talking about mental health, and teacher asked the class to name symptoms of depression. And in that moment, I felt like that I was reliving my past. I left mid-lecture to see Mrs. Capes with tears in my eyes, and after telling her what happened, she hugged me. And this was the first time I felt like someone other than family cared for me as a human, not a student or an employee. And I graduated in 2016 and ended up winning the Light of the Way Award, where I could speak in front of my class. Shortly after school, I passed my boards and I started as a trauma PCU nurse. I was hired by a nurse manager named Nicole, who was impressed by my performance as a phlebotomist. I was intimidated because I was in a room full of people with a variety of different experiences and a variety of different skills, and I was always constantly comparing myself to others. Now, this was the first time I was responsible for taking care of people independently. That unit was tough, and my very first day off nurse orientation, I had 4 patients close to being sent to the ICU. In short, I had a really difficult assignment, but somehow I kept all of them safe. I thought I was doing all right, but 3 months, one of the managers in the unit told me that I had 2 weeks to improve my performance, otherwise I would be let go. I was shocked and anxious, and when I heard that, I went home and I ate an entire box of Supreme Pizza from Little Caesars. The following Monday, I went into Nicole's office and I told her that I was just going to put my 2 weeks in because I felt like that nursing wasn't for me. She refused the answer that I gave her, and I was confused at first, but she continued to say that I had potential and what it took to be a great nurse. She told me that she believed in me and refused to let me give up on myself. Because of her kindness, I stayed there for a year, and I eventually got 2 daily nominations. After I gained experience as a trauma nurse, I started at Banner Behavioral in 2018. I became a psychiatric nurse for the adolescent unit. My goal was to make a difference in these young teens' lives so that way they can grow up to do great things. When I started, I was still struggling with confidence, and some nurses weren't pleasant towards me, and I felt like an outcast. However, one day, there was one shift that tested me. I came into work, and there were 12 call-offs, throughout the hospital. And I was the only nurse present on my unit with one tech, and I had 18 patients all by myself, 4 of whom were very difficult to keep safe from themselves and others. Now, most nurses would have refused this assignment because this is a very unsafe assignment. However, I took that assignment, and some people questioned why. What I told them was, if I don't care for these kids, who will? I refuse to have anyone get hurt in my watch. I was successfully able to get these patients safe, and everyone throughout the staff members and the patients safe. And as the years went by, I eventually gained enough experience to become a great nurse. Right now, I'm currently the team lead nurse in the adolescent unit, and I've been asked multiple times to train as house supervisor. As the years went by, I gained enough experience to know what to do in specific situations. There are even moments where I saved lives when I wasn't working. I saved someone's life on an airplane when she was choking and was having a hard time breathing. No one knew what to do, so I jumped out of my seat and helped her out and stayed with her until the flight landed. I also helped an older gentleman in an apartment complex. He was by himself. He fell off his wheelchair getting his DoorDash order, so I picked him up, put him back in his wheelchair, gave him his DoorDash order, and waited until help arrived. And both of these people were very grateful, and they told me that they'll never forget that, and that's something that I'll always remember. I still wanted to do more, however. I wanted to further my nursing education, so I returned in school in 2020, but in the summer of 2022, I wasn't doing well emotionally. I was stressed out with school and exams, I was struggling with my personal life, and I gained a lot of weight. The day after my birthday, I was in a complicated circumstance where I had to leave clinicals and take a year off without being my choice. It was an awful feeling, but I never gave up. That situation gave me the chance to reflect on myself, and I was able to focus on my mental health and physical health. I ended up losing 35 pounds, and now I'm in the best shape of my life. By the time I went back to school, I got accepted into this program called the BWEC program. This program is only a handful of students get picked, and I was given a stipend of $30,000 to do clinicals in Tucson. With that stipend, I got an apartment, and I did clinicals in Tucson. Near the end of the semester, I was too focused on clinicals, and I wasn't paying attention to the coursework. It was 2 weeks from finals, and I received an email from my instructor stating that I was below par on passing the class. This terrified me because if I failed, not only would I have to wait another year, but part of the agreement with the stipend was that I had to pass my classes. If I failed, I would have to pay back $30,000 of the stipend that I spent. And in addition to that, I would have lost my apartment. I needed an 86% to pass. With the grades that I had, it seemed impossible. I was preparing to study the hardest I've ever studied before. 9 days before the final exam, I went to the gym to relieve some stress, and I ended up injuring my back to the point where I could barely walk. This is the point where I felt like giving up. At this point, I needed a miracle. The night before the exam, something strange happened. I was alone in my apartment. The next thing I knew, the TV turned on. And I looked inside my room, and not only did the TV turn on, but it opened up YouTube. And the commercial was playing. The commercial was promoting the LDS church titled, God Wants to Hear From You. Now, although I am not Mormon, after seeing that video, I prayed for a miracle. The next day I took that test, which consisted of 135 questions. A few hours later, I got the results. The average score for the class, for the majority of the class was 83%, meaning that this exam was difficult. In school, we had a strict grading policy. Anything below 80% was failure. And this was the final exam, my last exam before graduation. But this is the exam where I injured my back. And if I failed, this was the exam that would have let me lose my apartment and I would have to pay $30,000. The final score that I got was 91%. One of the highest, if not the highest in the class. I've been through difficult times. I faced many challenges where many people would have stopped trying. There were plenty of times when no one believed in me, which led me not to even believe in myself. But I also experienced kindness from people who made the biggest difference in my life. When asked to be a keynote speaker, I wasn't sure what that meant, so I had to Google it. According to Google, a keynote speaker sets the tone for the audience. With my story, I'm here to inspire people who feel lost, and most importantly, provide hope for people who don't have it. You will face many challenges in your life. There will be people who will doubt your abilities, and there will be a point in your career where you ask yourself, am I able to do this? It's natural for us to think that way, to think of the what ifs. What if I do bad on a test? What if I don't get the job that I want? What if I fail? A dear friend of mine named Catherine went through this program with me, and we faced similar challenges together. We both got through it together, and I'll never forget her. She had a saying that always stuck with me. Whenever I felt like giving up, in her words, she would say, what if it all works out? And it does work out. Now I have a long-term goal and a short-term goal to look forward to. My long-term goal is to become a program director for a university or become CEO of a well-known hospital. My short-term goal is to pay off the rest of the mortgage from my childhood home, remodel it, and give it to my parents so they can retire rent-free. In addition, I also plan to write a book about my experiences. Now, the reason why I share my story is because of what I overcame. Sometimes things don't go how we want them to, but that doesn't mean you should stop or give up. That means you have to take risks and find your own way. You can slow down if you need to, but don't stop. I recently took my boards, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I was going to have a panic attack. I looked in the mirror and said, I'm going to pass. And when I took the boards, it was 175 questions. I finished a 3.5-hour test in just a little over an hour. Now, throughout the speech, I never clarified what I returned to school for after my nursing degree. So ladies and gentlemen, after everything that I told you, and everything that I've been through, I wanted to announce that I recently graduated from the University of Arizona with a doctorate's degree as a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. So you can refer to me as Dr. Eli. I recently talked to my sister Rachel, who is like a daughter to me, and told her to always try her best. I told her that I started from the bottom of the totem pole and worked my way up so high that no one could ever look down on me again. And all they have to do is just look up. I used to always compare myself to others, but now I have no reason to. You'll always get it right when you follow your heart. That way, you won't look back with a bunch of regrets. Before I end this speech, I wanted to share a quote that I said during the Light of the Way Award, which was inspired by my favorite movie character, Rocky Balboa. The quote said that I said, I'm supposed to give hope to those who don't have it. In conclusion, there's always a moral to the story. When all seems hopeless, a good man once said, nothing is going to hit you as hard as life, but it isn't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. If you know what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth, because that is how winning's done. And the bottom line is never give up hope. Believe in yourself and tell yourself that you are capable of doing anything you set your mind to. You are more than you give yourself credit for. Now, I may not know any of you graduates, PIMA class of 2024, but you guys rock, and I'm proud of each and every one of you. For all of you who struggle emotionally, physically, and mentally, for those students and new grads who feel alone or feel like that they're not good enough. I wanted to tell you that you are good enough and that you're not alone, not anymore. For those who doubted you, prove to them that you are capable and that you will succeed. I believe in you, and whatever profession you are in, you will make a difference in somebody's lives. Congratulations, you've made it.